so I'll get you to move forward a little bit because you're standing right where I need to.
Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry, Donna. Is that fine?
Nope. Yeah. Okay. There's one. No, I did. Okay. There you go.
Okay. Awesome. So thanks for coming back, Bill. I'm just gonna repeat the first intro for everybody, but because obviously we've already started the dice. But welcome to this evening. I'm super excited to be here. I'm very happy to say that twice in a row. Actually, what an epic conference that's been going on for the past 6 days. Some of you in the room have presented and shared some literally epic things, and I'm so grateful to connect with everybody. So my information's on the top slide. If you'd like to connect with me, you can do so at those links. And basically, I have been in education for a little over 15 years, and I started my education journey immediately out of university in Cairo, Egypt. It was my whole reason for starting to teach. I wanted to change Middle East and Africa. So I moved to Cairo, Egypt, where I worked for 12 years. After their second revolution, I had 1 year in Mexico at an American school over there, and I went back to Cairo because I missed it. And now I'm living in Amman, Jordan, where I'm working for a nonprofit international school, K-12, and I'm supporting them with their digital transformation. Includes teacher training, infrastructure upgrades, and I also have 12 hours of teaching, so it's pretty exciting to be an education leader in the Middle East, and I'm really excited that I get to share my journey with everybody here today. Okay, next slide please, Donna. Okay, so what does today look like? It's going to be a little bit rushed just for time, guys, but basically today's presentation is all about how do we get started as a beginner in reality, or for that reality. You'll see from the you've seen all about AR, VR, MR in the conference, how the apps are used, the software, the hardware, etc. You've seen all of that. So today's presentation is all about how do we get from zero to started. So we'll take a look at the why, and we'll take a look at how we can support a leadership buy-in. And then we'll take a look at how do we start our journey in augmented reality, or VR for that matter, how we can lead by example, and how we can inspire and be inspired by our communities. So we'll get started. Next slide, please, Donna. Okay, so this is the start of my journey. I am a Google for Education certified trainer and Adobe for Education certified trainer in both regions, and my journey in augmented reality started last summer. Adobe Headquarters head office in San Francisco, and I presented about how we transform the creative media classes using Adobe for Education in Cairo, Egypt. And those are all of the amazing educators that I met from Adobe, and I learned so much. I connected with so many amazingly talented and inspirational individuals, and it really kicked things off. Next slide, please. And this is where I was introduced to an application called Adobe Arrows. So just by show of hands in the room, guys, have you seen software called Adobe Arrow before? Okay, so heard of it. That's awesome. Adobe Arrow is one of the Adobe Creative Cloud tools, and it is basically for augmented reality. So it was my very first experience. There is a will not play since I removed it for today's presentation, so I just took a screenshot. But let me know, can you see the dinosaur in the hanging on to the back of that guy's chair, guys? Can you see the dinosaur? Super cool, right? Oh, I got a thumbs up from somebody in a headset. Thank you. Nice. So this dinosaur was my wow moment. If you're working in education, then you know when we talk about students having the moments when they're in the lesson, or if you're giving a PD session with other educators, you want that wow moment, right? Well, this was my wow moment with AR. I was like, no way. So this product team had introduced Adobe Aero to the education leaders in the auditorium, and how he started his presentation was with this picture that you see on the slide. He basically put up the code on the screen and said, everybody join this test last summer, and that was how we got hooked with it. Next slide, please. So basically, the next step, just like in a classroom, was everybody get out your phones or your iPads or your laptop and start playing with it. So people in the room, well, from everywhere opened Adobe last summer, but some of the people in the room, like myself, and had experience in AR. So this was really wow for them. Get out your phone, have a go, placing the dinosaur wherever they can go. Next slide, please. And then the product team had us work in teams. So then we went outside the main auditorium inside the Adobe Headquarters and taking different 3D objects and placing them on different surfaces around the headquarters in Adobe. So I'm sure you can imagine all of the awesome professionals in Adobe, right guys, who were watching us have a little play with our iPads and iPhones. But it's that whole opportunity to build your creative engagement, be to do and try something new. And the experience that we had in this session is exactly what we need to be able to create with our students in the classroom. It's exactly the same kind of experience we need to be able to create with teachers when we are teaching them how to do this with their students. So no matter what your role in education is, if you're a student, a teacher, a teaching assistant, if you're working in languages, if you're working in admin or leadership, everybody plays a key role, and this was a perfect example of how we can do that. Next slide, please. Just by show of hands in the room, guys, how many people here are teachers, please? Educators? K-12 or higher ed, are you an educator? Okay, great, couple. And is there any admin? Cool, couple. And are there any students? Okay, I had to ask because there were some students in the room before. Okay, so this slide here talks all about why do we want to augment your classroom, and it's something that I'm super passionate about because I'm sure as we're all in education, the biggest thing about being in education is that we want to make it better, right? We want to make either the lives of the students better and the lives of the teachers. We want to improve their success, the way they do it, and their love of learning. So the best way in which we can help people love learning is by giving them tools and strategies that they love using and doing as well. So when we talk about augmenting the classroom, it's not making it better just for using an iPad or technology or just using a certain tool. No, it's about finding their why. The why of the students, the why of the educator, school, you know, things into that. Finding the why and then being able to add augmented reality, virtual reality, mixed reality to that part. Next slide, please. So finding the why for myself is also about a personal journey and how we can help people get there. So I don't know if anybody here has read the book by Simon Sinek called Find Your. Everybody read any of his wrote? Yeah. So finding your why is really digging really deep down and finding why do I want to do this. It's great to just take an iPad or a mobile device and take a headset to improve education. So finding your why is a really big piece to it, and I certainly hope that when we are reflecting in our journeys at the end of this conference, we're able to dig deep and find our own whys, as well as support others in finding their whys using these awesome tools. So this next slide here is all about leadership buy-in. And basically, if you're like me, this is a new area for your education district or your classroom, then being able to promote leaders in your school or your district is really one thing to say, okay, we're going to do AR. Most likely turn around and say, oh, yeah, for example, but why do you need that? How is that going to benefit the school? How's it going to benefit all the stakeholders in the school for that matter? So when you are looking to get this option for leaders, you need to find the barriers which you need to overcome to encourage leaders to support you on your quest to bring augmented reality, virtual reality into your school. So I'll leave that on the slide for a minute there, but can any of you relate to any of the barriers that you see up there on the screen? Any of those barriers come up in your practice, either as an educator or as for you? Yeah, that's what I thought. These are couple that we face in technology are related to budget and resources. However, I would like to say, being an educator for 14 years in the Middle East, that it's also a lot about awareness. So for example, I only found certified trainer and Adobe certified trainer. So guys, I've been doing digital transformations and training people in schools how to use for like 5-6 years. And I didn't even know that these certifications and resources did. And it's actually only a result of Ditch That Textbook, if you've heard of that awesome guy, Matt Miller, this wonderful summit for AR and VR. So had I not been introduced to him this past Christmas, I wouldn't even be standing in front of all of you presenting and meeting you wonderful people. So awareness plays a big part, at least down here in Middle East and Africa. So understanding the barriers as they relate to your own area, as they relate to yourself and the people that you're trying to support in education, it will help you then come up with point number 2, which is up to, please, Donna. So the second part to leadership buy-in after you've identified the barriers is collaborate a plan for success. And I say collaborate because it's a really big, big thing. Have all stakeholders involved in your buy-in. Poll your students, poll your teachers, poll your leadership, talk to them about the technology, talk to them about their experiences. Maybe they've been on a field trip before, maybe they went on a summer vacation or Christmas vacation and they participated in a tour. I watched a presentation by Eric Hawkinson the other day in this space, and he was talking about taking his students in Asia on field trips using AR. What an incredible experiment. Well, maybe some of our students have had that experience already, right guys? So we need to check what the students have already experienced, because maybe their support and their feedback can support our buy-in with the school. Also, couple other things, and sorry for rushing guys, we started 20 minutes late and I want to get through everything, so forgive me for the pace. Is everybody okay with the pace so far? It's all right? Okay, thanks guys. So also planning for success includes looking at your infrastructure. You need to be able to take a look at the technology that you currently have access to in your school environment. You need to take a look at what teachers and students have access to as well, and thinking about how you can share that out. You need to include teachers, you need to include parents in conversations, groups, anything where you can involve them, you need to find that out. Have a chat with your IT department, make sure that your bandwidth is going to sustain things, like if you're going to host something like this where you're going to have a conference with your students in mixed reality, virtual reality, then you need to know that your bandwidth is going to sustain that use. So have a chat with your IT department and make sure that your infrastructure will sustain your use. There is nothing worse, guys, than starting a new software or hardware and then it not being able to work. Okay, just like when we introduced Augment goes down and a teacher was looking forward to doing X, Y, Z in their classroom. So it's the same thing when introducing any new hardware or software. We need to make sure that the infrastructure is stable enough to sustain all of the tools needed in order to complete a successful learning experience for all parties. So really, really important. And the third piece in collaborating and planning for success is really also looking at the objectives, right guys? Those lesson plans that we're asked to create as teachers, that leadership want to look at. We need to be able to take a look at that and see, right, these are the objectives, these are the units and the themes for the next month. How are we going to be able to increase the hook, the buy-in, and the intrinsic motivation for students by adding augmented reality, by reality or mixed reality? Because we can't just go in and say, right, we're going to use this app here, we're going to use this app there. You need to take a look at the objectives. You need to match them up with the apps that you're using and see where is going to be the best fit for a well-rounded learning experience for your students. So that includes team meetings, long-term planning, short-term planning, all of that. Okay. Next slide, please, Donna. Can you hear me okay? I have a hand on the ear. Are you guys hear me okay? No?
We have the robotic sound again, Georgina.
Okay. Nice, excellent.
It's good.
Yeah.
If you just do outspace menu.
One second. Okay, one second, guys.
Thank you.
Again, prayers would be appreciated.
How many prayers have you said this week, Donna?
Well, I filled an ocean working on the second. Oh, please let her come back to this room.
This room seems fine. I just came in.
That's awesome. She'll come up by the bleachers somewhere.
Yeah. There we go.
Hey, guys.
Oh.
But that didn't do it.
Guys,
Oh, come on.
No.
What is this?
Is it me? Is it my mom's? Okay.
Yes, we've got an echo and we've got electronic sound.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm finished.
Oh, wait, I don't know what she's doing.
I think she might have done it again.
Mm.
What is this?
I think our subspaces are very tired now.
Arthur's doing the same thing, funny things like it won't move my mouse, it moves my avatar arbitrarily when it feels like it and stuff like that. Thanks for coming. Please. Oh, poor Georgina, another speaker that has... What a memory. So you guys, do you have good memories from the summit? Will you remember some good things about the summit? Yeah? What's been your favorite session? Here, oh, hang on, I'll just unmute you for a minute. Shout out if you've had a favorite session.
Ooh, my whole list.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, hi.
Okay.
That's better. Yay.
Oh, yay! That's so exciting. Oh, hi guys. Sorry about that. I don't up, guys. That's awesome. I don't know if it's my headset or not, but we will keep going.
Impossible.
It's not. That's good.
No.
Look how positive Donna is. I'm sure it is me, guys. Don't worry. Okay, thanks for hanging in there. So I think we were at slide 11, Donna. I don't know if you're able to get back there or not.
Robert, I think you needed.
Hi. Okay. So basically, we collaboration slide. Can you go a couple more, Donna? Is that okay? And the next one. Okay, so after collaboration and planning, a big one. I introduce this to people off when I'm doing digital transformations, and I always let the students lead the conversation, and I had us quite unique and successful, so I always want to make sure I throw it in. Many people here, just by show of hands, have invited their work at a board meeting or at a leadership meeting. Anybody in the room tried that before? This is quite interesting. In the screen that you see there is one of the heads of school was in Egypt, and it's two students in year 4, which is grade, asking, showing them how they can use an application and what it would mean to their learning. And just the wow expression on the leader's face said. But I would all of you to give that a try at your schools in your education settings and just bring students to the table. Instead of teachers and educators taking in their slide decks and their paper copies or whatever you're taking in, just let students do the talking. You know, prep them before and let them know what you'd like them to show the leaders when you go in. But when you go in there, guys, take the students and let them do their talking. You would be pleasantly surprised how powerful that is in and of itself. Okay, great. So we'll go to the next slide, Donna, please, just because I'm quite conscious of time. So I'm going to go a little quicker through these slides. Guys, but where do we want to start? Obviously, if you've participated in conference sessions before, you'll know that Google is a place that you can start in education, Google Expedition, Google Earth, etc. I'm sure, as we know, is with Google that opportunities coming. Definitely an start. Next slide, please. Another place you can start is Adobe for Education, and this is really cool. So, has anybody in the room been on to for Adobe ever? Maybe we have some Adobe people in the room. Cool. That's awesome, Heather, and the other gentleman in the back. So Adobe for Education offers free online PD courses, and I have to say, as you know, still new, I have to say my journey is ongoing and long, and Adobe Education Exchange is one of the places that I have built a lot of skills, and I'm actually in the middle of my whole creativity process. I'm really looking forward to how Adobe is going to support me in my journey with AR and VR, building 3D elements and whatnot. However, this specific for how to use AR with students in the class, is that right? So Adobe Education is always offering PD to help educators support their students in the class. So another great place if you want to go visit and start with courses there. Okay, next slide. Okay, Unity. Hands up if you have tried Unity before, or at least heard of it. Yay. Okay, so nothing new, obviously, at the end of the conference. I was just introduced to Unity last month. Gossitter, if you've got inspirational teacher from America, he basically does a lot of work in Unity, and he got me started with Unity, but this is the place where we can go and create platforms and 3D objects, as you all have learned before. What I want to show you, next slide please, Donna, is that I found out that there is an educational view for you guys, but there is a space where you can actually apply to get your school on an education with students can to get on the there's also other courses in there as well, so if you're like myself and you are in VR, then you can also take courses to learn how to create in Unity. So this is great. Slide please. Okay, so there are tons of conferences going on all around, actually going on simultaneously to this one called EdTech for Future. And I put this screenshot on the screen to let you know that there's a gentleman all the way in Qatar, as you'll see from his information, who is presenting on augmented reality in the classroom in the Middle East. I didn't know the guy. I'm going to just connected with him to show you how are globally around the world that are apt to use AR in the classrooms. And I just think the more we can open up to connect with each other, the more experiences we can share together, the more we are going to support more meaningful learning experiences in the classroom. So keep your eye open on your social media threads at your schools for other online virtual conferences that are happening or webinars, because you can learn from each other and get inspired that way. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so who here has heard of Wakelet? I don't even think I said it right, guys. Wakelet, anybody? So Wakelet is a new tool where you can, it's a little bit like Pinterest. If you guys for, maybe people are, Pinterest is a curation tool, and Wakelet is a curation tool also, where you can curate many things, web links, text, images, and other Wakelets that people have created. So here's an example where I typed in the word AR, and look at how many Wakelets already exist there just for AR. And that was just one little screenshot inside an entire row of Wakelets where people had been creating. So go out there, find places where there are resource libraries and join them, guys. Collaborate with people globally and internationally, add to them, learn from them. Sharing is caring, right guys? So the more we share and learn from each other, the better we are going to make education for everybody. Okay, next slide please. I'm so sorry for rushing, guys, just with the technical errors. I'm trying to be conscientious that I have less than 10 minutes left. Okay, here is another resource library that I created myself, Google Sheets. You can create your own as you go and share those out as well, which I'm happy to do at the end. It actually might already be in this presentation. It basically is listed different resources with web links, creators, and Twitter handles, so you can follow them. Next slide, please. And now we're on to the next part of today's session, which is lead by example. So in the picture on the screen, this is Laurel and also Donna, who's standing behind me, who is so kindly hosting and helping me. I wanted to let you guys know that I added this slide just this morning because when I was thinking about how am I going to be creative with AR and VR, I actually replaced it and added this photograph because in the back of Laurel's head, you can see there better. And I just thought to myself, this is exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to go back to school and I'm going to see about creating spaces for my students and teachers to come in here and experience AR and VR and start learning together, because this is all new. Altspace VR is brand new for myself, and I want to get out there and get that started with teachers and students at my school. Okay, next slide, please. Basically, guys, with that whole creative piece, don't be scared to try those things. You'll find, I'm sure you already know it, creative professionals, but for myself also, my creative process is always changing. Everything, it changes and it empowers me to provide better services for the people that I support. So be risk takers, which is the second slide here, take risks. So this is a screenshot of my mobile phone and the apps that I'm currently experimenting AR with. So if that helps you at all, you can download those and give them your classrooms. The ones on the right-hand side is actually one that I just picked up the other week from a Twitter chat with Jamie Donnelly. If you guys have heard of her, she's a pretty big game changer in AR and VR in education. And Mel Science app for kids, this is so cool. They learn about gravity using AR. So it's just an incredible thing. And the screenshots on the right, as you see there, are basically screenshots of a lesson. So there are lessons that exist now where students complete that in AR. So it's a great time to be in education. Okay, next slide, please. And lead by example can also be adapt and improvise. So if you are in education or even in this area of technology, you probably know that we need to be adaptable. Things are changing all the time. So the people in this room who are into tech for you, the adapting to show students and teachers that lessons with technology. Be a risk taker and try those new apps. If they don't work, let them know that that is okay, and improvise to show them how we pick up the pieces and still get the objective done. The pictures in the screen talk to the next part of Adapt, which is an application that I just started using recently called Quiver. If you guys have heard of that AR app called Quiver, where they can download and print coloring pages, and then you basically scan them with your iPad or phone and they pop out AR. So that's probably nothing new for the people in the room either. However, can you guys see what technology I'm using behind the 3D sphere? Does anybody see that? I'm basically using, if you don't mind going back on it, is that okay? I'm basically using my iPad. I basically did not download the color, imported the coloring sheet onto Adobe Fresco, which is a coloring painting, and I basically used the Apple Gen 2 pencil on my iPad. I think you're going a bit ahead there, Dawn. If you don't mind, just one more back. I basically colored in the sheet, and then I used my mobile phone to scan the iPad directly, and you see how the three from the iPad. The application doesn't tell me I can do that, and nobody in any of them told me I could do that. I just said to myself, how have I been experimenting, learning with tech, and I'm actually learning to sketchnote just this past month since Christmas, and I thought I'm going to try this in Adobe. So I've actually been able to app smash things together to AR experience, and I think students will absolutely enjoy that as well. This is definitely something that you could use as early down in Key Stage 1 and preschool. So be a risk taker and adapt. You don't have to print it and use it. You could easily do it on tech. Okay, next slide, please. So I basically have 3 minutes left, but I just wanted to say be flexible with your tech. We talked post on this that was published 2 weeks ago. Agility, guys. We want to make sure that we are agile, that we can go between apps flexibly, and that includes AR and VR. So just make sure that we're keeping an open mind and supporting educators with that as well. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so here, inspire your community and be inspired. Seeing those books on the screen if you're in education, learning technologies, you're part of ISTE that I'm studying on my iPad, and it's all about those immersive realities in education. It's really, really helped me have a different outlook and introduce me to AR and VR tools, and I think that it's a great place for people to do book studies with in education and have that same idea. So I basically participating in the AR, VR, and EDU Twitter chat with Jamie Donnelly, who's the author of that book. And I think that she's on something, and I think people who can do that digitally in their education system, or if you're not in education, you could even do that in your own cohorts. It's a great way to learn together. Wanderlust EDU by Mika Shipe, pedagogies successfully. So whatever I'm not here to promote just those are the two ones in the room is we want to be lifelong learners, and so whether it's reading, whether it's conferencing, whether it's audio. Okay, next slide please, Donna. We can go through, if you just want to scan through them every 10 seconds, I'll just talk through them. So building your communities, I'm the leader of GGMN, which is a Google Educator group, and I plan on introducing everything that I'm sharing with a couple of months with them. So if you have the opportunity in your areas or districts to build communities, then do that. The more we share, the more we care. In this slide journey, you can see my avatar on the screen. This is actually a post in a Google Classroom for the tutor forum that I teach in one of the classes. And you can see there, it's a reminder on one of our late start days. And I basically said, by the way, I learned to fly in VR yesterday. Personal journey with the students, and you will be surprised how much you inspire your communities. Is talking about building a culture, so it's all about relationships, guys. You all know that because you're all educational professionals. Relationships, the more we have good relationships with our students, the more risks they'll be willing to take. Empower Tuners is all about asking students not only take them, but let them teach each other. So this is not a student that's sharing a presentation. These year 4s are teaching the year 2s how to use apps. This is what can be done. Take your secondary students, which I'm doing next term, get them to introduce new apps to the younger students. Guys, everybody's seen that Twitter hashtag. Share your communities out. Again, I posted, I think it's Eric Hawkinson up there on the screen, and the new Draw AR app that was just last month. Share everything out there and build the community we learn from each other. And I think this is my last slide. Yeah. Is how do we start? It starts right here. So guess what, guys? Right-hand side, we're on my phone less than 4 hours ago. Actually, no, closer to 8. So these women, Laurel and Donna, sitting behind me, and Craig and the admin and all this amazing educator and VR team are running on almost 0 sleep. And look what Laurel has sent out just today, guys. Look at all those comments about articles on what's new in AR and VR on no sleep. If you want to start your AR and VR journey, I am personally going to be continuing in this platform with this educator and VR group, and I would encourage everybody in the room to do the same and go and share this community out with everybody else in the world. And wow, I got through a 40-minute presentation in minutes, Donna. Woo!
I'm impressed.
Thanks for
that's awesome. Okay, you guys, I'm sure you have some questions, and so maybe what we're going to do today